Dear friends, welcome to the instructions for the TSPROF K4 sharpening device. It includes a robust ball handle, a precise near stop, a durable abrasive holder, an advanced AxiCube shift electronic angle gauge, a sturdy far stop, a secure connecting coupling, a practical travel limiter with convenient parking, a flexible hinge assembly, a dedicated guide for the abrasive holder, a reliable travel limiter with an integrated spring mechanism, a finely tuned microfeed wheel, a convenient microfeed locking lever, an essential abrasive thickness compensator, a quick and efficient angle adjustment slider, a strong rack lift body, a comfortable lift adjustment handle, a smooth rack lift slider, a versatile rotary mechanism, a stable stand, a robust rotary mechanism frame, a solid base, TSPROF quick clamps for rapid securing, a frame locking screw for added stability, an adjustment screw for fine tuning, and a responsive rack lift brake lever. Take the cardboard box out of the case. Using a 3mm hex key, unscrew the screws on the mounting plates and remove the sharpening system from the case. Inside the cardboard box, you will find the abrasive holder, hinge assembly, abrasive thickness compensator, and a set of spare parts. If necessary, install the abrasive thickness compensator onto the rack lift slider so that the contact ball is positioned at the bottom. If you find it more convenient to work with your left hand, you can unscrew the ball screw and install it on the opposite side so that the compensator can be flipped and the locking screw will be on the left. Next, install the hinge assembly with microfeed into the slot on the rack lift. Tighten it clockwise and secure it with the locking lever. Assemble the abrasive holder. Insert the abrasive holder and the guide rod into the coupling until they touch and check the position through the inspection hole to ensure the rod reaches the middle. Secure with the nuts by turning them clockwise. The AxiCube shift stop with angle gauge can be installed as either a rear or a front stop. To effectively do this, you will need to carefully remove the angle gauge, the rear fixed stop, and the front stop. Subsequently, you will need to unscrew the existing screw, which is equipped with a small ball, and then replace it with the appropriate wing nut that can be found in the comprehensive spare parts kit. First, install the sturdy platform for the angle gauge, positioning it precisely as the front stop. Then, proceed to carefully install the angle gauge itself onto the platform and put the fixed stop in place. Secure it with the wing nut. By turning the adjustment screw at the rear of the swivel mechanism, set the desired clamping force for the frame. Turning the screw counterclockwise increases the clamping force. Turning it clockwise decreases the force. Adjust the clamping force carefully so that only a small amount of effort is required to smoothly rotate the frame. This ensures optimal performance. Begin with the minimum clamping force, then gradually increase to a medium clamping force, ensuring proper stability and function. And the nut fully tightened. Please note that if the swivel mechanism is clamped too tightly, it is recommended to loosen the adjustment screw before rotating the frame. Otherwise, this will lead to accelerated wear. There is a retaining ring inside the adjustment screw that prevents the screw from being unscrewed from the swivel mechanism housing. When the screw reaches its limit position, try not to apply additional force. Insert the rod with the abrasive holder into the hinge assembly, then install the spring and the travel limiter. To ensure the electronic angle gauge works correctly, it needs to be calibrated. For this, you will need a calibration prism. Position the clamp as close as possible to the axis of rotation of the frame and secure the calibration prism so that it does not protrude beyond the edges of the clamp jaws. Place the abrasive holder with the angle gauge on the calibration prism and adjust the height of the rack lifter so that there is no gap between the angle gauge and the calibration prism. Secure the position of the rack lifter. Turn on the angle gauge, press and hold the power button for 6 seconds. Wait for the symbols on the display to start blinking, then release the button and press it again. The display should show a value of 14 degrees. The electronic angle gauge is now set up and ready for use. When you turn it on again, calibration will not be required, but if the device's position is changed or you move it to another surface, recalibration will be necessary. To prevent scratches from appearing on the blade before installation, it is recommended to cover it with masking tape. Position the clamps according to the geometry of your blade. Place the knife in the clamps so that its long straight part is as parallel to the device's frame as possible. If necessary, adjust the distance between the clamp jaws so that the jaws are close to the surface of the knife but do not touch it. To remove the knife, simply loosen the eccentric levers. Do not over-tighten the clamp jaws. When clamped correctly, the jaws should be parallel and fit snugly against the knife without bending in the opposite direction. Install the abrasive stone. Adjust the position of the far stop according to the size of the abrasive stone. The abrasive holder allows you to use stones up to 215 millimeters long and weighing no more than 250 grams. If the fixed stop is equipped with an AxiCube, the stone is clamped in the same way. Move the near stop towards yourself, compressing the spring, and install the abrasive stone. Set the abrasive travel limiter so that the entire surface of the abrasive stone is used during sharpening and to prevent it from slipping off the knife. The device features a 3-stage sharpening angle adjustment. Quick adjustment using the slider allows you to set the angle rapidly with an accuracy of up to 1 degree. Loosen the slider's locking screw and, without releasing the screw, set the desired angle, using the readings from the electronic angle gauge as a reference. Adjustment using the rack lifter is smooth and allows you to set the angle with an accuracy of up to 1/10 of a degree. Loosen the rack lifter brake lever and, by moving the lifter handle, set the required sharpening angle. After setting the angle, secure the rack lifter brake lever. With the help of the micro adjustment wheel, you can change the angle with an accuracy of up to 1/100th of a degree. This is useful during finishing operations, when you need to reliably work along the cutting edge with a slight increase in angle. To do this, loosen the micro adjustment lever. Use the micro adjustment wheel to change the sharpening angle. One click is approximately 1/100th of a degree. Turning the wheel counterclockwise increases the angle, while turning it clockwise decreases it. After changing the angle, secure the micro adjustment lever. When choosing the angle for your knife, you can use the table currently displayed on the screen. Alternatively, you can sharpen the knife to its existing angle. For this, you will need a marker. Color the bevel of the knife with the marker. Run the abrasive over the colored area and, using the mark left by the abrasive stone as a guide, adjust the angle so that the marker is completely removed in a single pass. Sharpening is done with back and forth motions, gradually moving the abrasive along the cutting edge. You move on to the next abrasive stone only after you have formed an even burr along the entire length of the cutting edge on both sides of the knife. When sharpening, it is important not to press down on the abrasive stone. All sharpening is done under the abrasive stone's own weight. At each stage of sharpening, abrasives of different grit sizes are used, from coarse to fine. The choice of coarse abrasive depends on the condition of the knife, and the choice of finishing abrasive depends on the physical properties of the steel as well as the intended use of your knife. After finishing each stage of sharpening on one side of the knife, move the abrasive holder aside and place it in the parking position. Visually check the symmetry of the bevel width on both sides of the knife. Holding the frame, rotate it 180 degrees with the knife clamped in place and continue sharpening. After setting the sharpening angle, you can remove the angle gauge from the rod to make it easier to use. It is mounted on the bar in a Picatinny style manner. If the battery level drops below 20%, the screen displays the message low, indicating a low charge level. You can still use the device in this state, but it will need to be charged. The charging port is protected by a cover. It is recommended to charge the angle gauge with a charger that has a current of up to 0.5 amperes and a voltage of 5 volts. The full charging time is at least 40 minutes. The device uses a lithium polymer battery. This type of battery does not tolerate being discharged for long periods, so it is recommended to charge the angle gauge at least once a month for at least 10 minutes. This will help extend the battery's lifespan. If you use abrasive stones of different thicknesses during sharpening, there are 2 ways to maintain the sharpening angle. The first is to use an electronic angle gauge and set the same sharpening angle each time you change the stone. The second option is to use an abrasive thickness compensator. After setting the sharpening angle, remove the abrasive stone from the abrasive holder, place it on the rack lifter, and lower the compensator so that the ball fits snugly against the working surface of the abrasive. Then, tighten the compensator's locking screw. After switching to a stone of a different thickness, loosen the slider's locking screw and set the angle so that the compensator's ball fits snugly against the working surface of the abrasive. Tighten the slider's locking screw and carefully remove the abrasive stone. Continue sharpening. To inspect the sharpening result under a microscope, or if you plan to leave the sharpening device with the clamped knife unattended, you have the option to remove the frame. For this, you will need a 3mm L-shaped hex key. Turn the nut counterclockwise and carefully remove the frame with the clamps and the clamped knife from the axis. After you decide to continue sharpening or have performed an optical inspection, reinstall the frame onto the axis and screw the nut back on. Be sure to tighten it with the 3mm L-shaped hex key. For long-term storage of the device, lower the elevator to its lowest position. Loosen the spring of the rotary mechanism by turning the fixation force adjustment screw clockwise. Release the tension in the quick clamps by turning the eccentric lever counterclockwise. After finishing work, thoroughly clean the device of any dirt and wipe all uncoated surfaces with a cloth or napkin slightly moistened with neutral industrial oil, I-20A or its equivalent. Monitor the operation of the abrasive holder rod in the bushing, and if it slides unevenly, clean the rod of any dirt and wipe it with industrial oil I-20A or its equivalents. Periodically lubricate the spring tension screw with industrial oil I-20A to make it easier to turn. All TSPROF products are delivered fully functional and ready for use, and they do not require additional calibration. If you have any questions, we recommend contacting us. It is recommended to store the device in a dry place, protected from sunlight. Also, if you are putting the device into storage, it is recommended to lubricate all exposed parts of the device with industrial oil, I-20A, or its equivalents. It is recommended to store the device at a temperature from +5 to +40 degrees Celsius. Thank you for your attention. Let me remind you that if you have any questions regarding the operation of this device, we recommend contacting us and not performing calibration on your own.